Hello, everybody. I am Frank Morano. Welcome to the very first edition of the South Shore Sitdown. This is my opportunity to talk with you about some of the problems that I see on the South Shore of Staten Island, some of the great things that I see on the South Shore of Staten Island. We're going to be, in the coming weeks, meeting a lot of local business leaders, a lot of local activists, and getting their perspective and our shared perspective on some of the issues that are facing Staten Island and specifically the South Shore and its future. This is a particularly noteworthy day. One, I feel a little bad for you because we're here at La Stanza, which is part of Campagna on Richmond Avenue, but all the Campagnas are great. And because this is video, you cannot smell this pizza. If anybody doubted my level of willpower and self-restraint, the fact that I have not already eaten every single slice of this pesto pizza is a testament to that. One quick announcement that I did want to make. I posted about this just on Friday evening when I got the word that unfortunately, due to regulations regarding the FCC and other things, I'm actually no longer being heard with my own program on WABC. Now, you can still hear me on a lot of great stations around the country. You can also just still listen to the podcast whenever you want to listen. Search The Other Side of Midnight. I'm going to try and continue that as long as we possibly can. But for people that may not be able to listen to the stream of another station, this is our best opportunity to stay connected. We're going to do a lot of fun things, a lot of interesting things, maybe some things that are a little bit more serious than some of the things that I do on radio, and some things that are a little bit more local than what I do on the national show that we did. But I'm really looking forward to the opportunity to connect with you. If there are certain things that you want addressed, if there are questions you have or issues that you want to raise, put them in the comments, and we will address them, if not in this broadcast, in future editions of the South Shore Sit-Down. So I've lived in the South Shore of Staten Island my entire life, right? I am very passionate about Staten Island and its future. I'm very proud of Staten Island, and one of the things that kind of gets me down is the fact that every single person that I grew up with out here moved away. All my siblings, all my cousins, some people moved to Brooklyn, some to Jersey, some to Arizona, some to Florida. And they all have different reasons. For some, it's the political climate. For some, it's the cost of living. For some, it's the commute time. And I really, it breaks my heart that so many Staten Islanders seem excited about the prospect of moving away. And especially city workers that are counting down the days until their pension. For a lot of them, it feels like they're counting the days until they're released from prison when they can move away. That's exactly the narrative that I want to change. Staten Island is a wonderful place to live, especially the South Shore. There's a reason my parents and so many other people's parents moved here from wherever they happen to live. And Staten Island still has a great story to tell. So I want to be a cheerleader for Staten Island. I want to be a champion for Staten Island. In terms of why I think I'm uniquely suited for this job, I think I have the perfect mix of what this district needs. I'm not a professional politician. I've never run for office before. So I'm not tainted by that groupthink, that cynicism that a lot of people that have been in the political sphere for a long time have. But at the same time, I've been in and around politics for a long time. I've been a staffer to Councilmember Borelli. I've been a member of the community board for a long time. I've testified at the Charter Revision Commission, every single Charter Revision Commission that's occurred since 2002. So I know the ins and outs of city government. And if it's possible, I think I have an outsider's perspective with an insider's knowledge. And I don't know that anybody else can say that. So my wife, Rachel, we live in Eltingville with our 3-year-old son, Carmine. And it's a wonderful neighborhood. And I'm determined to do whatever I can to keep it that way. We love being here. We're staying here forever. And I hope my son feels that same way when he's old enough to make a decision about where he wants to live. We have already gotten an incredible amount of support in a very short time for our campaign. We're endorsed by Congresswoman Nicole Malliotakis, the former council member for this district, Joe Borelli, his predecessor, Vinnie Ignizio. We're endorsed by Assembly Member Michael Tanusis, who happens to be the chairman of the Republican Party, State Senator Andrew Lanza, City Council Member David Michael Carr, a lot of other current and former elected officials, former Congressman Dan Donovan, former Assemblyman Bob Stranieri. A lot of other folks have been incredibly supportive. The Sergeants Benevolent Association, the Correction Officers Benevolent Association. A lot of support from law enforcement. Well, I'm supported by the Conservative Party here on Staten Island. And it's really interesting because I've always been the guy on the outside kind of throwing rocks at the establishment and kind of being the guy that says, all right, well, the establishment, they're in need of a course correction. But it's an interesting thing that's happened in the Trump era. It's almost like the people that were trying to reform the establishment for the longest time, with Trump, we now are the establishment. So a lot of people always use the explanation of why they're leaving a different political party or going to a different political party. They say, oh, I didn't leave the Democratic Party, or I didn't leave the Republican Party or the Democratic Party left me. In my view, this is the most exciting time to be a Republican, because I think the Republican Party has finally come to where I've been for a long time. It's now a populist, reform-oriented party, and it's a team that I'm really proud to be a part of. I'm not only humbled in the faith that a lot of the leaders that are Republican elected officials have placed in me, but I'm really excited to work with them and work on behalf of the folks of Staten Island. Staten Island's best days are ahead. And that's the kind of tradition of excellence that I want to continue. I want to pursue this job with Steve Fiala's intellect, with Vinny Ignazio's work ethic, with Joe Borelli's ability to communicate, and with Andy Lanza's ability to take any issue that seems like it's a lost cause and all of a sudden make it a winning issue. We stand on the shoulders of everybody that came before us, and we have had some incredible folks hold the seat previously, and I have got a great head start in terms of making sure that the future of the South Shore is even brighter than its past. We've gotten an incredible amount of support from folks in and around President Trump. I'm endorsed by President Trump's former campaign manager, Corey Lewandowski. I'm endorsed by Roger Stone, who's a friend of mine for a long time. I actually produced a documentary that's available on Netflix. People could check out. It's called Get Me, Roger Stone. And I actually got to meet Roger 25 years ago when he was the chairman of Donald Trump's exploratory committee for president. And we've been fast friends ever since then. I'm endorsed by Roger Stone, supported by Paul Manafort, Donald Trump's former campaign chairman, supported by former Trump administration officials like Andrew Giuliani, the former assistant HHS secretary under Trump who worked on his campaigns, all three of his campaigns, Michael Caputo. So we've got a lot of support from Trump world, and I don't want to get ahead of any announcements that we're going to be making soon, but there are some others coming. And I think it really speaks to the fact that Donald Trump, even though he's not a Staten Islander, he really has always been a big part of Staten Island. Donald Trump used to personally take people for tours of apartments here on Staten Island. He was here in 1964 as a 19-year-old when the Verrazano Bridge opened. And I'll never forget when the former borough president asked me to set up a meeting with he and Donald Trump. This is long before Trump was president. I was happy to set up that meeting. We went into Trump Tower, met with President Trump, and the first thing he said to start the meeting, because he didn't know the borough president at the time, he said, I just love Staten Island. I'll do whatever I can for Staten Island. So it's no surprise to me that the people that the president trusts trust me with having the best vision for the future of Staten Island. In January of 2014, a lot of us, a much larger group, 25, 30 people from around the state, met with Trump about potentially running for governor. He made the wise decision not to run for governor because, as he told us, he had his eyes on another office. And another assemblyman from upstate says, but Mr. Trump, no one's ever run for office before without being vice president or a senator or a general or something like that. You got to do something, or a congressman. And he said, but that's what's so cool about it. So I agree with him that was kind of a uniqueness of his candidacy. And my candidacy is similarly unique. I don't think we've ever seen someone with my background personally and professionally running for a seat like this. And I think this is a real opportunity for the South Shore of Staten Island to send a message to the rest of the city and the world that, you know, we're a little bit different than the rest of the city is right now. But we've had a long history with President Trump on the radio, in person, in terms of activism, and he's always been great. And I absolutely love what he's doing now with folks like Tulsi Gabbard and RFK Jr. on board. I think with someone like me in the city council, someone like President Trump in the White House, we're going to be able to do some really exciting things. So we had our kickoff fundraiser at La Stanza, which is a wonderful, wonderful catering facility adjacent to Campagna on Richmond Avenue. It meant so much for us to do it there because I've been going to Campagna long before it was Campagna. I was going to Campagna when it was Nove. I was going to Campagna when it was 101. And the owner, Joe LaRocca, is a very close friend. And I'm a huge supporter of small businesses, especially on Staten Island. People will tell you, and Nicole Malliotakis mentioned this in her remarks at our fundraiser, that I don't go to chain restaurants or chain anything really, because I think if there's a small business that does that same service, whatever that service is, that's what I want to support, and that's really what makes a community a community. You talk about why people love this neighborhood they grew up with or that neighborhood they grew up with. No one says it's because of the Dunkin' Donuts, the McDonald's, or the Starbucks in that neighborhood. It's a coffee shop, it's a diner, and stuff like that. So it meant a lot to do it at La Stanza. And on a personal level, we've had so many great family events at La Stanza, including my wife's baby shower. And this room, right where we are now, was packed. Democrats, Republicans, independents, conservatives, current elected officials, former elected officials. It was a wonderful crowd. Folks, activists and artists like Scott Lebedo, a lot of folks around the city came out and made the trip. I honestly never expected that we were going to have the kind of capacity crowd that we did here. I think it's a testament, not necessarily to what a great guy I am, but because a lot of people believe that Staten Island has a great future. All right, this has gone on long enough, and this pizza is calling my name. There is no chance that I am not devouring this pizza right now, and I don't want to lose any votes, which is what you seeing me eat this pizza would actually do. So we're going to wrap things up. Do me a favor, if you'd like a lawn sign or if you want to volunteer, say so in the comments or just go to moranoforcouncil.com. One of the things I'm hoping to do with these videos, though, is whether we win or whether we lose, I think we're going to win, is we want to highlight every different small business on the South Shore. If you're a business owner and you want us to do one of these South Shore sit-downs at your place, let me know. We'll come and we'll do it. We want to tell people about the great things that you're doing in the community. We want to make sure South Shore residents are aware that you're an option for whatever service you have. Just put it in the comments that you want us to come. We'd certainly like to do this. We're going to be going live from time to time. I'll be able to answer your questions live, just like we're on the radio. And we're going to be doing these videos regularly. So the best way to make sure that you don't miss anything is to hit the subscribe button, and to make sure your neighbors know about it, share. So sign up for a lawn sign. If you want to volunteer, we could certainly use your help. If you're a small business owner and you want us to come and do this at your business, let us know. I used to say I'll see you on the radio, but now I'll see you on the campaign trail.